and welcome to Daily Spark TV. You know what I'd like to do on the show. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Well, today I want to get you fired up about a pay system. So go on. Get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are about to get started. My guest today is Larry Pinson Sr. and we're talking about clocking in. That's right, we're talking about pay systems today. So let me tell you a little bit more about Larry Pinson Sr. He's a retired postal employee. He was a civilian employee at the Postal Service from 1985 until 2009. He also served in the U.S. Army for 2 years, from 1967 to 1969. From 1971 until 89, he was active in the Illinois National Guard and became a second lieutenant in 1974. He became a first lieutenant in 1977 and a police company commander in 1980. He retired as a captain in 1989 and was promoted to major. Now he is the founder and author of C.H.A.P.P.S, Clockable Hours, Application Process, and Pay System. Good morning, Larry. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Good morning, Dr. Chester.
Now, I know that we have a lot to talk about because when it comes to money and people and their jobs, they want to make sure they're getting all that they could possibly give. But before we do that, I want to ask you, who is Larry Sr.? What has made you the person you are today?
Well, I came from a poor background, first of all. You know, I always wanted something better. Mm-hmm. And it was an opportunity when I was living in Georgia, Newton, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And so my parents migrated to the north in 1954. Okay. I was 6 years old. So I started school, at public school at 1954. And so it was an area, they called the Greater Londale area. Okay. It was a beautiful place, you know. Mm-hmm. Water fountains, the parks was nice. Mm-hmm. But it was on the downside, you know, because we was moving in. And so, and the people that was living there, they was moving out. Mm-hmm. And so they left a lot of the buildings not maintained. I see. And so then that's how it came slum. Mm-hmm. And then they become slumlords. Mm-hmm. We lived in rat-infested buildings. Mm-hmm. Now, you know what? We moved here on 15th and Hamlin. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, he came here, and he lived at 16th and Hamlin. Oh, wow. That was amazing, you know.
Yeah, it is.
And then, you know, I was talking to God, and he said, Dr. Martin Luther King was coming up here, and he was going to march over there in Marquette Park. Mm-hmm. And so that was the area you stayed out of. I see. You know, and so I said to myself, I told God, I said, I don't want to go over there and get hit in the head with a brick.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so guess what? The only person got hit in the head with a brick was Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, wow.
And I said, wow, you know. And then I said, that wasn't right, you know, but he had a job to do.
Yes, he did.
He had a job to do, and he was trying to help people. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? The people turned against him. Yeah. At first they was helping him, and then he was talking about the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. And so I got drafted in 1967. Mm-hmm. I had to go to the war. And I was saying, Dr. King, please do all you can to help us, keep me from going over there. Yeah. But I had to go.
Of course.
I had to go. And so the reason I had to go, because I had to take that experience, had to have that experience, combat. Mm-hmm. That's a heck of a place. Yeah. I never had that type of experience in my life. Mm-hmm. But then you talking about the United States government. Mm-hmm. As you go through history and you look at stuff, we didn't have to be there. Mm-hmm. That's the United States government. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying about the United States government, they are putting you in places that you don't want to be. Mm-hmm. And what you're trying to do is help everybody in the United States government. Now, The reason I wrote this book is because I realized that we was getting robbed by being misled on how our hours are calculated. So you have to work a total of 168 hours, and you own your own hours. And well, people don't understand that. But I was thinking just before I came on the show, people to see me coming, when I be talking about chaps, they go to running. They say, oh, here come a crazy man, you know?
Well, let me ask you this question.
Right.
And that is, there used to be a time where people felt that if you had a city job or if you had a county job, you know where I'm going, in the 40s and the 50s, that you could have that job and you could have that job forever. You would be able to send your children off to college and all of that. Do you think that people still feel the same way about a pensioned job in that way, the same way now that they did then?
No, they don't, because they realize when they retired, most people when they retire, you know, like I'm a baby boomer, and when most baby boomers retire, they're retiring off that Social Security system, and that Social Security system is nothing. So most of the people like my age, they want to go out and get another job. They cannot sustain themselves by them working. That's why you see a lot of people working on jobs like over, because they don't want to retire, because if they know if they retire, they're going to lose their health insurance. And that's a bad thing also.
Yeah.
But the good part about that, Dr. Chester, C.H.A.P.S is an amazing pay system, you know, because everybody will get a double salary for the rest of their life, Dr. Chester. And then when you work in the C.H.A.P.S pay system, you know, by you being they always talking about Obamacare. If you read that book, and I said that I wrote the book for President Barack Obama at particular time. Yeah. So what happened was that I didn't know that I had to wait. I had to wait till the baby boomers get out.
I see.
And that's why I couldn't get the book to him. But now the baby boomers are over. Now the new generations. So God promised the new generations that they're going to get back double because what we didn't get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as a Gen Xer, I would appreciate that. That would be, I receive that because that is scripture, and I love it. I love it. Well, we are going to take a very short break, but when we get back, I'd love to talk to you more about your book. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you for joining me for Daily Spark TV. So, Larry, my next question for you is regarding age. Is there a particular age when you're joining either the Postal Service or government work in general? Is there a particular age requirement or education requirement? Do you have to be 18 and a high school graduate in order to be hired?
Well, they would like that, you know. In the past generation, you know, during my time, like baby boomer generations, that was all well and good. But now they require some kind of education because the jobs are more technical now. See, in my generation, I can get drafted, and I can be classified as one of the dumbest persons on the earth. And they still would take me. But right now, they don't have nothing to do with you. Because all the weapons that they're using now are very classified and very difficult to operate. And so in other words, you got to have some kind of education.
So Larry, my next question for you is, you've worked as both in the civilian world and in the military world. Civilian world, I think we all think of a traditional 9 to 5 kind of thing. We understand there's 3 shifts, first shift, second shift, that third shift that's during midnight. But most people think a 9 to 5 job. The military has the possibility of 24 hours in a day. Can you help our audience understand when it comes to your book, what are some of the differences? How do we tweak those two so that we understand better what you're explaining to us?
Okay, in the full-time military, you're responsible for 24 hours.
Okay.
And so you're responsible for 24 hours, seven times 24. That's 168 hours you're responsible for, okay? But you only get paid for 10 of those hours. And then the other hours go somewhere else, which you don't see on your paycheck from the full-time military. Okay, a civilian job, you're only responsible for 8 hours at 24/7 and 5 days a week. And so that's the difference.
I see. That's a huge difference. And I think that people would be shocked and surprised. I don't think that they think about the fact that our military personnel are responsible or have the ability to work within that 24-hour system. That it's so different. You're right about that. Now, so many times when we transfer from a military position into the civilian world, many of our military personnel say that they have a hard time transitioning because there's different terminology, there's different pay grades, all of that comes with either the retirement or they've simply done their tour and they're done. What can someone in the military who's transitioning into civilian world, how will your book help them understand that they're now simply going to a traditional 40-hour work week?
Well, once you leave the military, and because C.H.A.P.S is a government pay system, you could easily go into another government pay system, and then it'll be broken down to an 8-hour day.
I gotcha.
And that's how that works.
Now, when you start at the postal system, within the postal system, do you think that the average person understands that the clock is so much different than it is in corporate America?
Well, at the United States Post Office, the problem with the United States Post Office, they don't understand how the clock works. Because everybody that works for the United States Post Office back in my day, the baby boomers, they wanted overtime. But there's no such thing as overtime in an 8-hour day.
Okay.
And that's the problem. So the schedulers, I said that in my book, the schedulers, the one that do the schedule, don't have a clue on how the postal system, people need to be paid. Just the other day, Monday, I heard people talking about the post office. They were talking about the mail carriers. They was complaining about them not getting the mail, and their mail is being thrown away, and it's a big problem. So they tried to go to the United States Post Office and talk to somebody about this problem. And the answer they gave them was that people was taking off sick, calling in, and then having a lot of unscheduled absences. But the problem, you see, in the C.H.A.P.S pay system, you have a way to let people take off, but they got to be scheduled off. You just can't call off.
I see.
Yeah.
Is it similar in any way to what many people are familiar with, flex time? That you're able to perhaps work a little longer if you need to leave sooner, or you have accrued time that you could use towards a time off, or is that a different system?
That's absolutely not. You have your own hours, and that's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it's just like that. It's a yearly schedule. Your bid is a yearly schedule.
I see.
You start on the same tour, and then beginning and ending. That's it.
I gotcha. I got you. Yeah, that is definitely different. I think most people are thinking every 2 weeks, I need to make sure that my schedule is what I need.
Right.
You've really said a mouthful there. I think folks are going to really have that as an eye-opener. Well, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't you guys go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, my name is Larry Pinson Sr., and I wrote this book called C.H.A.P.S. C.H.A.P.S, the reason I wrote this book It will provide jobs without corporate money. It will provide jobs without taxpayers' money. And it will provide jobs without private business owners' money. So all you entrepreneurs out there, get this book and use this pay system. Because what you're going to get out of C.H.A.P.S, the corporations and the private business owners and jobs with taxpayers' money, you're going to get debt-free labor out of C.H.A.P.S. It's a wonderful system, and it's a system that we have to work for because you got to work for the next generation. And then right now, as everybody know, if you're a baby boomer and you retired, that Social Security is not enough. You know, if you use this system, you will use your own hours and you will use your own yearly salary for the rest of your life, even in retirement. It's an amazing book. So get this book and check it out. Thank you very much. Now you can order this book on my website. My website is Pinson, PINSONSR.com. And you can go to Barnes & Noble and order this book.
And we are back. My guest today is Larry Pinson Sr., and we are talking about his book, C.H.A.P.S. It's Clockable Hours, Application Process, and Pay System. That's right, we're talking about making sure that you get all your money's worth. I love it. So, Larry, let me ask you this question. So many times people will say, someone's always saying something about the postal system. There's a pro, there's some cons, but yet people stay. What are some of the pros and cons? Do they really offset each other? I understand that you're trying to make it as best as it can possibly be, but so many people stay. Do you know why they would stay?
The problem is that the people don't understand the pay system. And don't get me wrong, you got a lot of good workers at the United States Post Office.
Yeah.
Delivering mail, really, that's a hard job.
Yeah.
You know, but back in the day, when I say about back in the day, with the baby boomers and stuff like that, the only way you can get somebody working for the post office is telling me it's overtime. But it's Dr. Chester, it's no overtime in 8 hours. The labor laws state that you work 8 hours, 5 days a week. That's it. And so what they're doing, they're using their own money. See, at the United States Post Office, you got to understand on who pays you. Like when I got hired, I was begging God for the job. You know, I was a truck driver. I drove the truck for the post office. I wasn't a letter carrier, and so when I went in there and I got the job, I was so thankful. And then when I was in there, I heard about rumors. They said, "Oh, people at the post office crazy." You know, there's some crazy people out here. You know, and then so one day I was working on a Monday, and then I heard a person saying, "Oh, today is my Friday." I said, "What? Today is my Friday?" Now I'm looking at it, I said, "Yeah, these people are crazy at the post office," you know. And so then I listened to her a little bit more. See, the reason she was saying that, because her off days was Thursday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. See, to her, that was her Friday.
That was a
then I
Friday.
caught on. See, you got to get that book and then understand those days. And then you won't think the people at the post office are crazy.
Right.
And so all I'm saying is, everybody's saying that I'm crazy, and but do the math. Stay in your pay location when you work. Work 8 hours and then just walk off the job, you know. And then make sure the supervisor got you into a C.H.A.P.S pay system, a properly bid. Do your bid, and then just walk off. And make sure you stay on your tour. Find out what your tour, get that book, find out what your tour is. And then after you work your 8 hours, just walk off. And then just wait for your money that's gonna come, a double salary every 3 months.
Now, you use the word bid, and I have a friend who used to drive for a major bus line, long distance bus line, and she was able to retire with them and then drove the city bus line. And I remember her using that word bid. It's time for us to put our bids in
Right.
for the routes that we want to take and the time and all of that. So I think that there are some people that perhaps are familiar with your terminology and that they would probably be great people to pick up a copy of the book and be able to explain it to people that are a little less familiar with that system. Because now that you say that, those words are coming back to me. Well, I want to ask you about how do we inform leadership that change wants to be made. Many times as an employee, we might speak amongst ourselves, you know, what do they call it? Water cooler talk, you know. And sometimes people can even become disgruntled where their murmur starts to become a really loud complaint. But murmuring doesn't change
Correct.
as much as it could. What would be your suggestion for someone who is interested in getting a different system in their workplace? Where do they start?
Dr. Chester, you got to kind of look back on the days of Moses when he was freeing the Hebrews over there in the Sinai. And so most of those people, a lot of them wanted to turn back. They didn't want to be free, you know. And they was riding the coattails of Moses. They were telling Moses, you go ask God this, you go ask God that. But when that free ride is over with. Now, see, now I'm telling these people right now on your show, what you got to do is get that book and find out for yourself, because you have to answer for yourself. You have to answer to God, because when He asks you why you didn't follow that book, when my son was trying to tell you, or either my prophet, because you can go. I got some things in there about what I can bag the book up, and but I don't want to mention it, but it's some things.
There are some things you have to buy the book for.
That's right. It's exactly
I can
right.
understand that.
But the bottom line is that the reason I want you to get the book is that everything that you do in the book, you're going to get debt-free health care if you use C.H.A.P.S. All the medical people, if they use C.H.A.P.S. All the teachers, they're going to teach. It's going to be debt-free. So because we need the people to go to school debt-free, because for the future. And C.H.A.P.S. is a generational pay system, because now you got to understand that what C.H.A.P.S. is. It's a generational pay system.
Last question for you, and a question that I tend to ask many times, and that is, how has your faith made you the person that you are today?
Oh, Dr. Chester, that's a good question. I'm going to tell you something, Dr. Chester. When I was over there in Vietnam, on the top of that mountain, I didn't know what to do. I was alone. I was 19 years old, Dr. Chester, going on 20, scared to death.
I can imagine.
Scared to death. But I called on God. I said, God, please get me off this mountain.
Yeah.
Back home safe. Because I don't want to die over here. So my mother can see me. And a lot of times there's an empty coffin or whatever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you couldn't find your bodies. I prayed to God.
Yeah.
And He brought me back. So then, one night he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, okay, you go to work for me. Tell my people, provide jobs without taxpayers' money. Provide jobs without corporate money. And provide jobs without private business owners' money. That's what C.H.A.P.S. is all about.
And we each have a calling, and your calling is C.H.A.P.S. I love it. We're Larry Pinson Sr. Thank you so much for being on Daily Spark TV today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope that I have inspired, empowered, and enlightened you. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Bye-bye.